Good afternoon to all those on the East Coast. Good morning to those in the Central and the West Coast. Today, we have two incredibly special guests. We have Lieutenant Colonel Michal Frenkel, who's speaking to us from the spokesperson's office, and Major General Nadav Padan. Major General Padan today was with the Southern Command in Gaza. He was in Gaza and at the Gaza border. And each of them is going to be giving us an update over the events that have been happening over the last couple of days, as well as what we should be thinking about and looking forward over the course of the next couple of days. At this point, we want to turn it over to someone who's a friend to the members of the participants of Friends of the IDF. She's been with us over the course of the last 9 weeks. It's Lieutenant Colonel Michal Frenkel. Michal, thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be with you today and give you an update for today because this is the 72 days of the war, and each day unfolds differently. So the most updated information I can give you about today is that the IDF soldiers are engaged in intense battles with Hamas forces across Gaza, targeting its military infrastructure and terror operatives. While Hamas continues to hold our people hostage, fire rockets at Israelis, and use Gaza as human shields, we are, as of during all of the war, but as of today, increasing the entry of humanitarian aid into the Gaza Strip. Now, again, we always say it, but this is important. Our war is not with the people of Gaza. Our war is with Hamas. And we will do everything to make sure that the 7th of October will never happen again. We are continuing to expose and destroy Hamas infrastructure that is embedded in civilian areas, hospitals, schools, and mosques. Now, the most updated operational information is that Hamas, which is a sophisticated organization and a powerful one, has killed, as of today, 1,200 Israelis. We have 454 IDF fatalities. Since the ground operations, we have, unfortunately, 122 IDF fatalities. One of them was just now announced. In Israel, we have 774 injuries Israelis since the beginning of the war, and Hamas has not stopped to fire rockets towards Israel and also towards Jerusalem on Friday night, with a total of more than 11,000 rockets fired from Israel as from the beginning of the war. Now, as I said, the war is intense. We're seeing intense close-quarter battle in Hamas strongholds in Sajaiya, Jabalia, and Khan Yunis, ongoing intelligence-based precise strikes on military targets, ongoing human shield discoveries. For example, another 80 or more terrorists were arrested at the Kamal Adwan hospital over weekend, where weapons were hidden in a maternity ward, no less than in a maternity ward. Rockets fired from humanitarian zone, as you can see. The IDF has discovered more than 800 tunnel shafts during the course of the war, and 500 of them were destroyed. Hamas is operating in civilian clothing, and something that was just allowed to be published is that in the course of the last two weeks, the IDF has found a 4-kilometer tunnel built by Hamas, used by Hamas, which was dug up to 400 meters from Erez crossing, and the end of it was just near an Israeli town called Beit Nentiv Asara. So this is something that we know that Hamas was planning to use this during this war, and we have, of course, eliminated it. And again, we see Hamas leaders hiding underground which is contrast to IDF heroism operating up front. Regarding the hostages in Gaza, on Friday, during fighting in Sajaiya, the IDF mistakenly identified 3 hostages as a threat. The soldiers fired them and the hostages were killed. These are very difficult, even words to say, but this is a sad and tragic and painful event for all of us. And the IDF bears full responsibility for everything that happened. Initial review published, and the shooting was against the rules of engagement. I'm sure that further examination will be taken in order to make sure such thing will not happen again. The IDF expresses deep sorrow regarding this disaster and shares in families' grief. Until now, we have 129 remains hostages in captivity, including 110 male, 19 female, among them 118 Israeli citizens, 11 from foreign nationality, 2 minors, and 10 of the age over 75. International organization must be given access to those hostages. Their lives are in danger. And we have a moral obligation to bring them back. Regarding the efforts to minimize harm to Gaza, despite Hamas exploitation of their own people, Kerem Shalom crossing opened today for direct entry to aid to Gaza. More than 4,300 trucks with 76 and more tons of aid, food, water, shelter, supplies, medical supplies, enter so far since the beginning of the war. Fuel and cooking gas continue to enter. Hamas, cynically enough, is seizing aid from its own people, from the Gazan civilian. We have proof of that happening. Regarding the movement of civilian population, we are doing our best to make sure we are mitigating harm to civilians in combat zone. Local tactical poses continue in combat zone. Regarding Lebanon, launches today, we had launches toward Rosh Hanikra, Hardov, Livne, Arab El Aramshe, which is an Arabic Israeli village, Sasa, and Dovev. Failed launches inside Lebanon identified as well. Responsive IDF strike against Hezbollah targets in Lebanon. Yesterday, we have an IDF reservist killed in a UAV attack. And regarding the US and Yemen, 14 Houthis UAVs intercepted by US Fifth Fleet in the Red Sea. This again shows us it's a global threat. And generously enough, General Kurila visited Israel, which shows strong partnership between Israel and the United States. And this is the most updated information. If you have any question, I'll be happy to answer.
And Michal, General Kurila is the head of the Central Command of the United States?
Yes.
Okay. In terms of the Hezbollah, we read Secretary of Defense Gallant, former Major General Yoav Gallant, said that if Hezbollah continues to increase and push the limit, Israel will respond fivefold. Any comment on that?
Well, this is not something that as an officer I can comment on, because the strategic decision regarding what and how the operation will be is a decision made by the government. The IDF acts accordingly. So we will receive, receive the data and act accordingly. But we, as the IDF, will do whatever we are asked to do in order to make sure that The north is safe, the south is safe, the Judea and Samaria area is safe. We have an obligation to make sure our people are safe. So
Thank you. Thank you very much. And we're very grateful to you always being available to us and updating us. We want to wish you success and obviously the soldiers success, safety, and security. Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, we want to turn it over to Major General Nadav Padan for his thoughts on what's been happening over the last few days and his insights.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I don't want to return everything that Michal just mentioned and go over the details, but to verify 2 or 3 things that are important to verify, because I'm getting a lot of text messages and questions regarding the maneuver in Gaza Strip and how it's going to look like. And I will know that we're winning. So in those kind of modern war, like we face in Iraq or Afghanistan, or when we're dealing with counter surgeries, with counter terror, counter guerrilla kind of war, there won't be kind of situation that the leadership of the Hamas will get out of the bunker with white flag and we can declare that the war ended and we won. We'll feel that we are, and we understand that we won the war when we block the ability to launch rocket, when we block the ability to continue with their terror military activity, and when we block the ability to control the Gaza Strip, and the IDF will have freedom of operation. So there is no such significant point on the timeline of the operation that will change binarically from 0 to 1 the situation. It will be an evolution, and we could look at it from retro perspective, I guess 5-6 months from now, and said that we changed the situation in Gaza Strip. It's a long process. When the IDF and the leadership of Israel declared that it's going to be a long war, it doesn't mean that the war will going to look like it looks today, and it's just take another 2 weeks or months to take over another neighborhood or another road or another bunker or facility of Hamas. It takes time to clean the Hamas from the subterranean areas, and to change the spirit and the environment of Gaza Strip in a way that we can provide different kind of life, and we can provide stability, security, and even prosperity to the 2 million people that lives there, and change the direction from the inside and the hateness and the fight against Israel to a reasonable neighborhood. And look, I don't want to mislead you. They are not going to be Zionists, and they're going to like us. It's going to be an enemy kind of initiative. But we could control some kind of relation with them, like we control the relation that we have with the Palestinians in Judea and Samaria area. They are not Zionists. They're supporting terror. We are not friends, but we can provide both community, the Palestinian community and the Jewish community that lives in Judea and Samaria and surround Judea and Samaria, some kind of stability, some kind of reasonable security level, and even prosperity. And that provide hope. That's the challenge that we're facing in Gaza. So the question is not, did we be able to take another neighborhood in 2 weeks or another town in a month, but if we'll be able to continue with the process. Now, I know that the pressure of the United States and other are there. It's going to be an election year at the U.S., and there is a lot of pressure from the Western European country to kind of reduce the level of friction, the level of tense in Gaza Strip, and that makes sense. We don't have to operate with all those power, all those amount of strike that we're launching today, but will have to continue operating all along the next at least 5-6 months in Gaza Strip. So maybe we will draw from some of the neighborhood and just launch strike to areas that will identify terror activities, and bit by bit, step by step, will clean the neighborhood, and hopefully with the help of God will reach to the leadership of Hamas, which is significantly important to change the direction of what's going on in Gaza Strip. So don't wait for next week to see kind of event that all the Hamas leadership get out from the book and with white flag. It's not going to happen, but few months from now we could look at what's going on in Gaza and look backward in Rafah perspective and see that we achieve our goal and the targets of this operation.
Major General Padan, could you update us on what's happening in terms of Rafah, the Egyptian-Gaza border, where many of the tunnels that were used to smuggle serious weaponry into Israel, what the nature of the fighting is, what's happening in that level?
So Rafah, it's the border. Rafah, actually, the city, the town at those days, and now the city of Rafah actually divided two areas. Part of Rafah is under the responsibility of Egypt in Sinai Peninsula, and the north part of it, inside Gaza Strip. So there is family that connect to each other and family that marry each other across the border, and that's allowed different kind of deep, intimate relation between two sides of the border, and it's amazing. Great platform for the Hamas to use to build kind of smuggling system, tunnel that connect between those two sides of Rafah. Even under the control of Israel, the time that we used to control the east-south of Gaza Strip, we used to have our settlements there, and we used to control the border between Israel and between Gaza Strip and Egypt. There were smuggling tunnels, hundreds of them. They are digging hundreds of tunnels, and when we're speaking about tunnels, we have to understand we're not speaking about kind of rabbit tunnel. We're speaking about tunnel that can actually allow cars, regular cars, private regular cars, to move from one side to another. So there is hundreds of those tunnels between Egypt and the Palestinian side of Rafah. The Egyptian side fight with them. We used to fight with them. As far as I understand, it's run mostly by, I would say, criminals' families that actually pays for the local police to block their eyes, and to the local military. I mean the Egyptian military and police, and everybody. The Egyptian authorities and the Palestinian are part of this smuggling system that provide Gaza Strip everything that we see over the last few weeks of war. All those rockets, missiles, rifles, ammunition come from somewhere. Most of it, to our understanding, go under the border between Egypt and Rafah. So it's a huge challenge. It's a challenge because it used to be challenged all over the years, and it's challenged right now because it's to attack along the border. You must have coordination with the Egyptian military, and the Egyptians are not willing to consider one that cooperating with Israel during the war. So it puts things under different kind of complexities, and we're negotiating about it, and we'll find a way to solve it. If we want be able to attack it with from the air with jet, we'll have to have boots in the ground and start digging the whole area divided between Gaza Strip and and Egypt.
What
So
you're
it's kind of-
saying then is that's going to take a number of months. That's something that's challenging, difficult, and it's not an issue of weeks, it's an issue of months to really find those tunnels and to shut those down.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say from the very beginning of this brief. It's a multi-layer kind of challenge. We have to deal with the local leadership. We have to deal with providing the people that lives there some kind of stability and sources of life, foods and running water and health. And we'll have to keep breaking the system of Hamas. Breaking the system of Hamas, by the way, is also to win the heart and the mind of the people, convince them that Hamas is not the right leaders for them. So, and part of it is dealing with smuggling and the connection of Gaza to the world. And I'm saying it that way because you have to understand that while we're speaking about smuggling, we're focusing in fighting terror, but those tunnels are also a source of living for a lot of people in Gaza. Goods, foods, and other things that they have a hard time to get from Israel in prices that's relevant to the local market. So we'll have to provide them kind of hope, and that's built from very strong stubborn fight against terror, breaking all those systems from one hand, and in the other hand, win the heart and the mind of the people, create some kind of light in the end of the tunnel, show them that there is other ability and other kind of leadership that can create different kind of life or better life for the people that lives in Gaza Strip. And again, they won't be a Zionist or Israel lover, but they will be willing to cooperate like two enemies that agree that we can have a multi-year ceasefire agreement.
Two quick questions before we conclude the briefing. One is, you had the chance, you shared with the FIDF leadership the kind of weaponry that was just taken from the Hamas terrorists on October 7th. You know, whether it was those thermobarometric bombs that killed the women in the Titzpaniot, the women who oversaw on the Nahal Oz base, the screens watching what was happening through the drones. You showed us Russian-made equipment, Iranian equipment, Chinese equipment that all had been smuggled through Egypt. Massive, massive amounts of equipment. And over the course of the last 9 weeks, we know that 11,000 rockets have been sent towards Israel. Is it fair to say that thousands and thousands of those kind of equipment that was used, that is being used, has now been found, discovered by the forces, by the troops, whether northern Gaza, southern Gaza, and that their supply of rockets, their supply of this very sophisticated equipment has been depleted significantly?
Yeah, it's fair to say, but you know, we have to remind ourselves that they used to have hundreds, thousands of rockets. So right now they have a lot of problem launching the rockets and lack of ammunition. That's for sure. But they'll still have hundreds of rockets. They're still showing that they can launch rocket. Yesterday they launched rocket to Jerusalem. Today to the area of Lachish. So and you have to remember that part of the rocket system are unmanned system with computers that plan to launch a rocket from a hiding facility in specific time. So, for example, they could have a hiding facility inside clinic or inside school that launch 2 rockets toward Tel Aviv at 8 o'clock today, and then from the same place they'll launch another 3 rockets tomorrow in different hours. It's all controlled by computers. No man in the chain. So the people that plan those computers could be tackled and killed by the IDF forces, but the system, the launching system, are still automatically operating and launching terror. So the bottom line is that although we've been destroyed thousands of rockets, we've been captured hundreds of rockets. They launched thousands of rockets. They still have few hundred. to keep us busy and keep the Israeli community under alert for the next few weeks.
Thank you. Any last thoughts you wanted to share?
So the bottom line is that we're all very optimistic about the result of this war if we'll have the time for it. The IDF are winning and destroying terror facility everywhere we maneuver, and we're discovering bit by bit all the strategic subterranean system. We today discovered this huge tunnel that connect between the refugee camp of Jabalia to Erez checkpoint that mentioned by Michal. It's actually a very wide tunnel that a small car could drive through it, and we expose 4 kilometers of it, and we are on our way to expose the other part of it, and it's split and connect to the net of tunnel that build the subterranean facility of Hamas. So everywhere that we are maneuvering in, we're discovering, destroying, and changing the situation on the ground and under the ground. It will take time, but when it will end, there will be no Hamas terror organization in Gaza Strip. It still will be a political idea and ideologic of the radical Muslim Brotherhood groups, but it won't be a terror organization that aimed the stability and the life of the people that lives in Israel along the border and Israel as a whole. So I'm very optimistic about the way that the IDF maneuver, the soldier, the men and women that maneuver inside Gaza, doing amazing, professional and brave maneuver. So we're really saluting to them, and we're really proud of what those young men and women are doing, risking their life, carrying the security of Israel on their shoulder. And we're here to support them and help them by increasing the spirit, by backing them, and with together the soldiers that maneuver in Gaza, the people of Israel and the Jewish people at the diaspora, and especially the US, we're all together going to win it.
Thank you, Major General Padan. Thank you for that briefing. Our next briefing, unless there's some radical change of the issues, our next briefing will be on Wednesday at noon Eastern Time, 9 Pacific. And we want to just ask of everyone, those who are members of the FIDF family, those who may be watching their first briefing, there's a constant need. Each and every day we get requests from the general staff. We get requests from the Ministry of Defense. Please continue reaching out to friends, reaching out to others, to clients. And the reality is not one penny goes for overhead. Everything that is raised during this war goes for the benefit of the soldiers. We don't determine the needs. The needs are determined by the Ministry of Defense. They're determined by the Manpower Division of the Army, and they share them with us each and every day. We want to thank you for your support. The support is unprecedented. We've never seen this kind of support in the 42-year history of this organization. But unfortunately, the needs grow, the needs continue. And as you've heard from Major General Padan, as you've heard from Lieutenant Colonel Frenkel, this is going to be a long war, and the needs are going to be very significant over a long, sustained amount of time. Thank you for your support. Thank you for being a friend of the IDF, and thank you for participating in this briefing. Wishing everyone a good week, praying for the benefit of the soldiers, praying for the benefit of the operation, and wishing you a good week.